Всем привет, друзья! Мы продолжаем проходить игру Vampyr. И сразу же направляемся к доктору Суонси. Нужно с ним поговорить. Он там не один.
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Он сразу узнал.
My hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCallum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile.
Он чем-то
You
похож
can't
на
hide from the god.
главного героя.
Leave him, Jonathan.
Особенно при
It's
первом...
sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned.
Особенно первый показ геймплея. Главный герой был больше похож походу на этого.
By the sacred stole, this is very bad news.
Wow.
Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse.
Старуха-то.
Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
I know this place means something to you. I have noticed how you suppress your appetite when around the staff and patients.
You need to know you can trust me, Edgar.
I do, dear fellow, I do.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Rest assured, I will protect you and your staff.
McCallum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this.
Печальный святой из Ист-Энда. А еще поговорить можно?
If you don't mind, I have a few questions.
I'd be delighted to help you if I'm able.
Вау.
What exactly happened here while I was absent?
Hampton turned, quite violently as it happened. Lurking about, attacked Miss Jones. To say he created quite a commotion would be an understatement.
Are you sure it was Hampton that killed Miss Jones?
There was blood everywhere, but no body. And you know the state she was in. I fear for what he did with her. Hopefully he just hid the corpse.
How did the Guard of Prewen come to hear of this?
McCallum has spies everywhere. He will jump at any opportunity to disparage the Brotherhood and show his contempt.
I just recently met the strangest creature in Whitechapel. He was immense. He mocked me and accused me of hypocrisy.
Perhaps it was a skull. London's streets are overflowing with them these days.
It was a vampire, all right. But what kind, I'm not sure. He was large and very fast.
If you find anything more about this creature, the Brotherhood would greatly
Это был вампир
appreciate any
бодибилдер.
information you could spare.
100%.
He was observing me with the obvious intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable sense of menace.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. You've no idea what this creature really is.
I recently tried to enter a church. It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial, to say the least.
Is this proof that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt, or irrational fear, or deep-seated beliefs.
It's hard to explain in terms of science, that's for sure.
I'm sure Lady Ashbury will have far greater insight into this matter than little old me.
Who was that man in your office?
Geoffrey McCullum, actual leader of the Guard of Prewen. I suspect he's
А,
the
прям
man behind the
предводитель.
rebirth of this old and dusty society.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I can guarantee one thing. The Guard of Prewen would never dare to attack the hospital while I'm in charge here.
What do they hope to achieve?
Their ultimate goal is the eradication of all vampires in the country. They see you as a threat to mankind, Jonathan.
Понял.
Thank you, Edgar.
Спасибо за инфу, как говорится.
Sean Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks.
Пять тысяч опыта. Нормально.
Fear and disgust on every street corner.
Ну и кровище.
The daily routine.
So many deaths.
What on earth happened here?
Так я думал, место можно смотреть. А толку-то?
You are going to
I
reveal
wonder why
all,
the Gosbicks came here in the first place.
even the darkest thoughts in your heart.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening, Dr. Reid.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Everybody's afraid. Death has always been a frequent visitor. But murder? How can we cope with that?
As a nurse at this hospital, it is your duty to deal with these things as best you can.
Yeah. Until it's my turn to have blood spread all over the walls. I entered the room first, Dr. Reid. I've seen what that monster did to the woman.
А почему ты жива осталась?
Goodbye, Nurse Hawkins. Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Is there anything you can tell me about the recent commotion here?
Many things can happen under cover of night, Dr. Reid. But I took no part in this massacre.
But did you see or hear anything?
I can't say I did. But the smell of fresh blood almost made me faint, Doctor.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
Here again.
Good evening, Mr. Elwood.
Evening, Dr. Reid.
Но я считаю, надо всех опросить.
Can you tell me anything about recent events at the hospital?
Before the shouts and the noises, I think I heard whispers coming from the stairs. 2 voices, maybe more.
Did you recognize the voices? What did they say?
I couldn't hear. Sounded like they were arguing or something.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Elwood.
Fear and disgust on every street corner.
Так, то есть у нас в больнице есть крысы. Я правильно понимаю?
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
What can you tell me about the recent events in the hospital?
That Mr. Hampton killed Miss Jones in her room, then ran away.
And did you see all this?
No, I was working by the tents when it all happened. I only entered the room when they asked me to clean up the blood.
Where is Miss Jones's body?
I don't know. I'd imagine the morgue. It all happened so quickly.
Did you see Sean Hampton leave the hospital?
I think I saw a silhouette exiting the hospital gates after the shouting started. At first I thought it was someone who was just scared, but well, maybe it was him.
Так, ну мы все поговорили обо
Goodbye,
всем.
nurse. Call me if you need assistance.
О, привет, Стрикланд. Ой, это Эйкроид. Экроид. Стрикланд, вот.
I'm
That's
quite busy
Shipachka.
right now, Dr. Reed.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Nothing like this would have happened if we'd had enough staff and proper shifts.
So you don't think the blame is ours?
We all hold fast here, Dr. Reed. Our methods may differ, but we are all trying to make a difference.
Thank you for your time. We'll talk later. Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed. Can I be of any help?
Классная камера.
Can you tell me anything about the recent commotion in the hospital?
I'm sure it was not your fault, Dr. Reed.
My fault? What do you mean?
Oh, nothing. It's just... I heard it was you who brought the murderer inside our walls.
Чё?
But you couldn't know, could you?
Фига ты бесстрашный.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
Давай, давай. А вы что скажете об этом?
Good evening, Doctor. How is my son doing?
Прекрасно.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
It's a disgrace. How on earth can patients be attacked in their own rooms?
I've read your son's medical report, Beatrice. It's not the flu or anything life-threatening. What has you so worried?
He was at death's door when he was brought here. I just want him to be better as soon as possible.
He's not out of the woods yet, you know. He might need to stay here longer than expected.
Take care of him then, Dr. Reed. People here only seem to focus on contagious patients. I worry my poor Mortimer will be neglected.
Да никто не забудет, господи. Это платная больница.
Goodbye, Mrs. Goswick. Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
I heard shouting coming from the first floor. I was asleep when it started.
Что-то он не особо многословен.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Ну, если честно, я устал уже с ними разговаривать. Сейчас мы вернемся в порт. Насколько я понимаю. Блин, зря я сел записывать. Что-то я зеваю постоянно. О, вы здесь?
Oh, Jonathan, I cannot believe my eyes. Poor woman, butchered by some savage scowl.
Yes, and I'm afraid I'm at least partially responsible. The man, the scowl, I brought him here.
Jonathan, how could you say such a thing?
Forgive me if I feel despondent. For there seems to be no end to the suffering and death that surrounds us.
I'm always here for you, Jonathan.
What do you know of Ascalon? I was threatened by a creature, a vampire in Whitechapel, stating I had to obey the law of conduct.
What more can you tell me about him?
He was bigger than a man. Huge, in fact. He seemed to radiate violence. I thought he was going to tear me apart. Then he vanished.
Fergal, the executioner of Ascalon. You were fortunate he was not after you, but rather out doing his master's bidding.
What is Ascalon?
The Ascalon Club are the most powerful vampires in Britain and exert tremendous influence. Take my advice and stay well away.
I have experienced a certain difficulty when faced with holy symbols or trying to enter religious buildings. Have you?
Now that's quite a question. I don't know why, but yes, it has happened to me.
Is this a sign? The hand of God in action? Are we repellent unto heaven?
I don't have the answers, Jonathan. But I believe superstition and magic is just fact awaiting the lens of science.
Aren't you frightened?
Very little scares me, my dear. To be compelled to avoid symbols of faith does not concern me.
Have you embraced this woman? Like the other patient, this Mr. Renfield?
Her name was Amelia. And no, I did not kill her. I vowed a very long time ago that I would never take another life, unless they ask.
Is there sufficient vitality in the blood of the sick and dying patients?
Yes, Jonathan. The hunger gnaws at me every waking hour. Frankly, I'm starving.
Temptation surrounds us. Rich, vital. How can you resist?
Over the years, any pleasure I once gleaned from feeding is long gone. I drink for sustenance. And though I still thirst for more, I restrain myself.
Thank you, my lady. I hope to see you again soon.
Да подвинься. Но врача нет смысла опрашивать. Вот этот пассажир хорошо так стоит.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Someone killed Miss Jones in her room, and Mr. Hampton's gone missing. Doesn't take a genius to piece it together.
You don't seem shocked by any of this.
Why should I be? Whoever did this must be long gone by now. And besides, he got rid of the old bag.
Goodbye, Milton.
Miss. Please, I feel sick. Get over here now.
Чё?
Hey, Doc.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
All I know is I ain't letting anyone rip my throat out in my sleep. I found myself a nice blade, Doc. I'm ready.
I'll leave you for now, Mr. Cox.
Кокс. Получше имя нельзя было придумать? Кокс. Я испугался даже, кстати. Упс. Далеко я ушел с курса. Что-то круги наворачиваю. Не зайти. Ну ладно. Блять, что я делаю? Чисто брожу кругами, как идиот. Может, здесь еще закрыто будет? А, она только отперлась. Понятно. Странно. Почему здесь никого нет? Привет, Фрэнк. Как ты, старый друг? Я так рад был повидаться с тобой на прошлой неделе. В следующий раз угощаю я. Надеюсь, в твоей части города все в порядке. А здесь, в твоем родном квартале, ситуация ухудшается, Клей. Блядь, я не могу читать нормально, что происходит? А здесь, в твоем родном квартале, ситуация ухудшается. Клей с каждым днем становится все агрессивнее. Он думает только о новых захватах, даже при том, что кое-кто из новых игроков претендует на нашу территорию. Боюсь, что мокрые ботинки здорово влипли. Я тут подумал над твоими словами, что ты не жалеешь об уходе из банды, и единственное, о чем жалеешь, так только о том, что больше никогда не появишься в Ист-Энде. Ведь там тебя ждет хорошая взбучка или еще что похуже. Ну, если решишь все-таки заглянуть сюда, я гарантирую тебе защиту. Может, снова поговорим о новых возможностях? О работе. Ты же знаешь, что я всегда ловко обращался с числами. И, если твоей компании нужен бухгалтер, давай это обсудим, ладно? Передавай жене привет от меня. Мокрые ботинки. Навсегда старина. Бут Дигби. А вот и первый, кого мы встретили. Как раз того Бута, с которым нельзя поговорить почему-то. А, ну.
Good evening, sir.
Who the fuck are you? Don't you see I'm busy here?
Dr. Jonathan Rid, that's who I am. And who are you?
Ah, some fancy gentleman we've got here. Clear off. We don't want strangers on our streets.
So you won't tell me your name, then?
The name is Booth Digby. Maybe I'll ask my boys to break one or two of your bones, just so you remember it.
Ты чё такой агрессивный? $2500.
Are you some kind of vigilante patrolling these streets at night?
Something like that, but the police aren't in charge here. We are, see?
So you're a concerned criminal, is that it?
Using funny jokes about me and my boys, are you? Fuck. You must have some balls.
I saw many men like you during the war, Mr. Digby. Greedy little cockroaches who feed on despair.
I could kill you for saying that. But, nah. You've been a soldier. I can respect that.
So, tell me about your gang, then.
What? Have you got a death wish? You really want me to answer that?
Well, yes. You seem so proud of your status. Why not tell me who you're working for?
Oi! I'm the boss, all right? The Wet Boot Boys work for me. All of them. Situation round here is better than other districts because of us. Because of me.
Какой крутой.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
Things ain't that bad, thanks to us. We give people what they need, and we control this borough.
Well, you're not doing a very good job. People are still dying here like everywhere else.
Yeah, well, we can't be everywhere all the time. And Edwina says if we can find more guns, we could be more efficient.
More efficient? Really? You should probably tell Edwina that guns are useless against diseases and infections.
Incredible. You know what? You're lucky she can't hear you right now. She's more smart than patient. My sweet queen of the docks.
I know you're looking for an honest job, Booth. You're tired of this criminal.
Почему у нее тоже фамилия Кокс?
It's just an idea. Edwina loves to run things so much. You can never really leave the gang. Wet boys for life, you know.
Do you know where I can find Sean Hampton? I need to talk to him.
The sad saint. Why on earth do you want to talk to him?
He was one of my patients at the Pembroke Hospital.
Oh, yeah. I heard the poor bastard had been abducted by some cunt. You better ask Tom Watts. He knows Sean Hampton well.
Goodbye, Mr. Digby.
Ну, тут просто нищий уголок. И сразу же Эдвина рядом стоит.
Good evening, miss. I am Dr. Reid. May I ask you a few questions?
Who are you? What do you want?
As I just told you, I'm a doctor. From the Pembroke Hospital, actually.
The Pembroke Hospital, you say? I ain't paying any bill left by Clay.
I'm not here to collect payment, Miss...
Miss Edwina Cox. So what do you want then? Fancy buying something from me, maybe?
Booth Digby looks at you with love-struck eyes. Tell me, Edwina, is the feeling mutual?
You have no idea how refreshing it can be for a woman to receive all the pleasure she needs. For once.
I'll take your word for it.
What is it, Doctor? A woman's not supposed to talk about these things.
Behind all your crude words and your attitude, I sense romance and a soft heart, Miss Cox.
Romance? I have no time for such rubbish. I use Booth like I use everyone else.
Бля, я хотел нажать сначала на то, что она манипулирует. Но... почему-то я этого не сделал. Ладно, пофиг.
What can you tell me about your work?
I'm a businesswoman. I buy and sell things, and I send my wet boot boys after anyone who don't play nice with me.
Gang member and shopkeeper. Can't be easy running double shifts.
If you're interested, I may find use of a doctor who can freely walk across the city, you know.
I'm not interested in a career in the criminal underworld, Miss Cox.
Fair enough. Stay away from us then, if you don't want to get hurt or worse.
Since my return from the war, I don't feel that concerned by threats, knives, or even bullets, if you must know.
That's exactly what that stupid trade unionist claimed after he attacked one of us. Booth and I reminded him a bullet beats words every time.
You're quite blunt, aren't you?
I like people who know what they want and say what they think. This is a time of great opportunity for those ready to embrace their destiny.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
You can't trust anyone around here. As soon as you lower your guard, you can be sure some arsehole will take advantage of you.
Really? Don't you think that's a little bit excessive?
Bastards, all of them. This region only responds to violence and threats.
You sound like you're thinking of somebody in particular.
Take the gravediggers of Southwark. They must pay me every week, but it looks like they forgot who gave them permission to steal from the dead.
Looting corpses in a mass grave. That is a new low.
Whatever. Hey, since you're a doctor and all, maybe you can access that forbidden area and remind those bastards what they owe.
I'm looking for Mr. Sean Hampton. Do you know where I could find him?
The sad saint? I heard he was mugged or something.
Yes, he was. But he left hospital recently.
You don't say. Well, I suppose it's good news for the homeless and the useless. Ask them, they must know something.
Can I see what you have to sell?
As long as you have money, I'll show you all I have. Pleasure, sir. Been a while since we've seen any new faces around here.
Так, конечно, извиняюсь, но на этом придется закончить. Что-то меня вообще выключает. Продолжим в следующей серии совсем скоро. Ставьте лайки, подписывайтесь. Главное, комментируйте, чтобы я мог с вами общаться. До скорых встреч!